The boardroom on the 52nd floor was silent enough to hear a pin drop. 18 executive directors stared at the woman in jeans who just burst through the mahogany doors. "You lied to me about everything," Jordan Hayes shouted, her hand trembling as she held up a contract. "About who you are, about why I'm here, about us." Marcus Grant rose from the head of the table, jaw set like granite. This wasn't how he'd planned to go public, but with Jordan, nothing ever went according to plan. "Ms. Ashford paid me $5,000 to sabotage your date." Jordan turned toward Victoria, seated among the shareholders. "But you knew from the beginning, didn't you? And you still played this game with me." Robert Ashford stood abruptly. "What the hell is she talking about?" Victoria's face went pale as snow. Marcus stepped toward Jordan, eyes never leaving hers. "I knew. I knew from that first night, but what I didn't anticipate," he stopped directly in front of her, "was falling completely in love with you. Let me tell you how we got here. This is the story of a $5,000 deal, a CEO who knew too much, and the only woman who ever fooled me by telling the truth. This is the story of Marcus Grant, the man who built a $2.8 billion empire with his own two hands, and Jordan Hayes, the only woman who dared to challenge him. It started with a sabotage plan. It ended with something nobody expected." Marcus Grant's office, 52nd floor, Monday, 5:45 a.m. New York City was still dark when I walked into my office. Second coffee of the day, black espresso, no sugar. A habit from my military days, 20 years past but never forgotten. The screen lit up with an email from legal. Subject line in red, "Urgent, Richardson hostile takeover attempt." I scanned it quickly. Jonathan Richardson, CEO of Rich Tech, my competitor for 15 years, was quietly buying Grant Technology stock through trust funds. His target? Reach 15% to demand a board seat. 15 years we'd been circling each other. Richardson built his company on aggressive acquisitions and cost-cutting. I built mine on innovation and long-term vision. We represented two different philosophies of business, and only one could dominate the market. I picked up the phone. "Richardson, we need to talk." His voice carried that familiar arrogance. "Marcus, early morning? Thought you young CEOs slept until 8. I'm 48, and I don't sleep when someone's tunneling under my company." I pulled up the file I'd already prepared. "You have 48 hours to stop buying shares, or I counter by acquiring your three main suppliers. Already checked, they're willing to sell." Silence on the other end. "You wouldn't dare." "Try me." I hung up. The door opened. Elliot, my assistant of 15 years, former paralegal with razor-sharp instincts, walked in with a stack of files. "Marcus, 7 a.m. board meeting on Q3 results. And," he hesitated, "Robert Ashford called. Third time this week." Robert Ashford, my original investor, 12% shareholder, and the man who'd been trying to marry me off to his daughter for 2 years. "Tell him I'm busy." "Already did. He says he's coming to the office anyway." Perfect. I turned back to the Manhattan skyline, the city just beginning to wake. I'd started this company in a Queens garage 22 years ago. Built it line by line, code by code, deal by deal. No family money, no shortcuts, just relentless work and smart decisions. My brother Nathaniel should have been here to see this. He'd been the dreamer, the visionary who could see possibilities in everything. When that drunk driver killed him at 24, I channeled my grief into building something that would honor his memory. Grant was his middle name. Every decision I made, I asked myself, would Nathaniel approve? My phone buzzed. Text from Elliot. "Richardson just bought another 2%. You're at 14.8%. He's pushing." I typed back, "Let him push." I push harder. The game was on. While Marcus Grant was fighting corporate wars on the 52nd floor, I was 300 feet below, fighting a different kind of battle. The kind that starts with a broken tablet and ends with a choice that changes everything. Design Department, 18th floor, 8:30 a.m. The tablet screen cracked like a spider web when it hit the subway floor that morning. Second time this month. I stared at the broken glass, calculating. $800 to replace. Rent due Friday, $2,400. Bank account balance, $1,200. The math wasn't working. Jordan, presentation for Marcus Grant tomorrow at 10. Dave's voice echoed over my cubicle wall. New UI redesign for the healthcare app. He's reviewing it personally. I looked up. Marcus Grant? The CEO? Why would he come down here? Dave shrugged. Heard he micromanages everything. Built this place from the ground up. Doesn't trust anyone but himself with the important decisions. Great. A presentation to the CEO was stressful enough. Doing it with a broken tablet? Impossible. I'd been working at Grant Technologies for 4 years. Started as a junior designer, fresh out of graduate school, worked my way up to senior designer through late nights and weekend projects. The company was known for its work-life balance and ethical culture, but I'd never actually seen Marcus Grant in person. The building was massive, nearly 3,000 employees across multiple floors. The executive suite might as well have been on a different planet. My phone buzzed. Text from Chloe, my college roommate. Yo, weird gig. $5,000 for 3 hours. Acting opportunity. Link attached. Sketchy AF, but $5,000? I clicked. Craigslist ad. Needed. Female 28 to 35. Intelligent, capable of acting. Job. Replace me on blind date and make the man want to quit. $5,000 cash. Completely legal. Message for details. Every rational brain cell screamed, scam. My bank account whispered, tablet, rent, mom's medical bills. Mom had been diagnosed with lupus 3 years ago. Her treatments were expensive, and Ohio Medicaid didn't cover everything. I sent money home every month, whatever I could spare. Sometimes more than I could spare. I texted back, details? Within seconds, my phone rang. Unknown number. Jordan Hayes? This is Victoria Ashford. Can you meet me in 1 hour? The Loeb Boathouse, Central Park. Come alone. The line went dead before I could respond. I sat there, phone in hand, torn between common sense and desperation. $5,000 would solve everything. New tablet, rent paid, money to send home to mom for her treatment. But meeting a stranger from Craigslist? My phone buzzed again. Text from the hospital in Ohio. Mrs. Hayes' treatment continuation requires $3,000 deposit by month end. I grabbed my coat. The Loeb Boathouse, Central Park, 10 a.m. She walked in like she owned the air itself. Victoria Ashford, white Chanel suit that probably cost more than my car. Birkin bag. Dior sunglasses perched on platinum blonde hair. Everything about her screamed wealth and privilege. Jordan Hayes? Her voice was champagne cold. That's me. She sat without invitation, crossing legs worth more than my annual salary. I'll be direct. Marcus Grant, CEO of Grant Technologies, thinks he's meeting me tonight. A blind date arranged by our fathers. But you'll go instead. Use my name. Make him despise you. I blinked. Marcus Grant, like the CEO of the company I work for? Her eyes lit up like I just solved world hunger. Perfect. He doesn't know you. Grant Technologies has nearly 3,000 employees. He never visits the design floor. Why would you want to sabotage your own date? Not your concern. Victoria pushed an envelope across the table. $2,500 cash now, $2,500 after. And this, a 4-page contract. NDA, non-disclosure agreement. I skimmed it, legal jargon, confidentiality clauses. Then I saw the penalty section. Breach of this agreement results in liquidated damages of $75,000 plus all legal fees and costs incurred by the disclosing party. Sign here. If you disclose anything about this arrangement, You owe me $75,000 plus my lawyer's fees. If you refuse after taking the money, same penalty." My brain screamed, "This is a trap." My bank account whispered, "Mom's medical bills." "What exactly do I have to do?" Victoria smiled like a shark scenting blood. "Where would I give you? Talk about your ex-boyfriend. Ask about his money. Say you want marriage immediately. Do everything men hate. Simple." She pushed a shopping bag across. Inside, an oversized brown hoodie, cargo pants, neon sneakers, and a pack of, are those fake acne stickers? Makeup prosthetics, very realistic. Her smile widened. $5,000, Jordan, for 3 hours of bad acting. I hesitated, pen hovering over the signature line. Victoria leaned forward, her perfume, something French and expensive, enveloping me. "One more thing. My father, Robert Ashford, owns 12% of Grant Technologies. If you mess this up, I'll make sure HR knows an employee participated in fraud against the CEO. You'll be fired before you get home." Ice flooded my veins. "But if you do this right," she tilted her head, "Marcus will quit on his own. My father won't blame me. And you walk away with 5,000 clean dollars. Win-win." I looked at the envelope of cash, at the contract, at Victoria's cold, calculating eyes. I signed my name. The moment the pen left the paper, I knew I'd made either the worst or best decision of my life. I just didn't know which yet. Le Bernardin Restaurant, Friday, 8 p.m. I looked like a homeless person who'd wandered into a 3-Michelin-star restaurant. The brown hoodie swallowed my frame. Cargo pants with enough pockets for a camping expedition. Neon sneakers that glowed under the crystal chandeliers. Hair in a lopsided bun secured with visible bobby pins. 4 realistic-looking blemishes dotting my face. The valet stared at me like I'd escaped from somewhere I shouldn't have. "I have a reservation. Victoria Ashford." His face went professionally blank. "Of course. Right this way, madam." Every head turned as I walked through. Designer dresses worth thousands, suits that cost more than my rent, whispers following like a wave. Then I saw him. Marcus Grant sat with his back to me, shoulders broad in a perfectly tailored black suit. When he turned, my lungs forgot how to work. 6'3", dark brown hair silvering elegantly at the temples, steel gray eyes that scanned me from head to toe, slow, assessing, like an X-ray machine seeing straight through to my bones. His expression? Not disgust, not horror, fascination. "Victoria." His voice was smooth whiskey with a hint of amusement. "Interesting choice of attire." Yes. Hi, you're Marcus, like Marcus Grant, the CEO. Wow, you're really tall." I grabbed his hand, pumped it aggressively. 6'2", 6'3", 6'3". The corner of his mouth curved slightly. "Good eye for measurements." "I'm great with measurements." Oh God, someone kill me now. I yanked out my chair too fast. It caught the water glass the waiter had just placed. Water cascaded across the white tablecloth, narrowly missing Marcus's lap. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm such a disaster. One time I knocked an entire wedding cake onto the bride." "Were you at the wedding?" He grabbed napkins, helping clean up, movements efficient and controlled. "I was the bride." His hand paused mid-wipe. Those gray eyes found mine, sharp and assessing. "You were married?" Panic hit. I wasn't supposed to talk about a fake wedding disaster. "No, I meant I was near the bride. At a wedding, not my wedding." "That would be crazy, right?" "Would it?" He sat back, that smile playing at his lips like he was enjoying a private joke. The waiter appeared mercifully. "Wine for the table? Do you have that rosé? The cheap one?" I laughed too loud. Several tables looked over. "I don't really like wine, honestly, but it seems fancy to order it, right?" The waiter's expression could have frozen hell itself. "We have Chateau d'Esclans, Whispering Angel." "Whatever works." "Whispering Angel," Marcus said smoothly. For the lady. He turned to me, studying me like a puzzle he was determined to solve. You don't like wine? Not really, but it seems like the things sophisticated people do on dates, you know? I appreciate honesty. He leaned back, completely at ease. Tell me about your ex-boyfriend. Oh, right, the script. He was a doctor, super successful, made tons of money, really handsome guy. A doctor. He filed that away. I could literally see him cataloging it. What kind? Surgeon. Cardiac surgeon, actually, very prestigious, but not as handsome as you. His eyebrow arched elegantly. I appreciate the ranking. The food arrived. I made a show of eating with my mouth open, making sounds that physically hurt me to produce. Marcus barely touched his plate. He just watched, like I was the most entertaining performance he'd ever witnessed. So, I said, mouth half full, your company, Grant Technologies. You must be related to the CEO or something. Something like that. His smile was cryptic. I work there. What do you do, Victoria? Graphic design, freelance, lots of variety. Interesting. And where do you freelance? Oh, you know, different places. Tech companies mostly. Actually, I stopped myself from saying Grant Technologies. Random places. Very random. All over the city. I see. His eyes gleamed with something that looked suspiciously like triumph. Then dessert arrived. Tiramisu. I forgot everything. The script, Victoria, the $5,000, my mother's medical bills. Because it was perfect. Espresso balanced flawlessly with mascarpone. Ladyfingers soaked just enough. Cocoa powder that wasn't bitter. I closed my eyes involuntarily, savoring it. When I opened them, Marcus was staring at me with an expression I couldn't read. What? I asked, my voice dropping to normal. No more squeaky fake voice. Nothing, but his smile said everything. You're a foodie. No, I scrambled back into character. My ex hated tiramisu, said it was too coffee-forward, too bitter for his taste. Marcus leaned forward, invading my space in a way that made my heart race. Most people do find it too strong, but when it's made right, perfect espresso to mascarpone ratio, ladyfingers soaked just enough that they're soft but not soggy, quality cocoa that adds depth without bitterness. It's perfection. I forgot I was acting. Exactly, and the cocoa has to be Dutch process, not natural, or it's too acidic and overwhelms everything else. His expression changed completely, from polite interest to knowing triumph. You really know your food. Damn it, I dropped the mask. I knew within the first 30 seconds, this wasn't Victoria Ashford. Victoria, according to my research, was 5'9", platinum blonde, Instagram influencer with 400,000 followers who posted daily from Pilates classes and charity galas. This woman, 5'6", dark brown hair, dressed like she'd lost a bet, and nervous enough that her pulse was visible in her throat. But her eyes, blue as a summer sky, intelligent, assessing me as quickly as I was assessing her, those were real. Everything else was performance, and a poor one at that. When she knocked over the water glass, I saw genuine horror flash across her face before she remembered to act clumsy. When she mentioned being the bride, panic followed immediately, like she'd gone off script. And when she tasted that tiramisu, closing her eyes in genuine pleasure, that was the real woman underneath this terrible disguise. I could have ended it there, called her out, had security escort her from the restaurant, filed a complaint with HR if she really did work for my company. Instead, I signaled for the check. Outside, I expected her to make excuses and flee. Instead, I walked her to the curb, hands in my pockets, watching her fidget with the sleeves of that ridiculous hoodie. Thank you for dinner, she said, trying to sound relieved it was over. It was memorable. Good memorable or bad memorable? I stepped closer, close enough to smell her shampoo, something floral and drugstore cheap, and somehow perfect. Still deciding. She took a step back, hitting the brick wall. Well, goodbye then. No. The word came out more commanding than I intended. I want to see you again. Her eyes went wide with shock. Why? I talked about my ex, asked about your salary. I was clingy and inappropriate. You were intriguing. I stepped forward, not trapping her, but making my presence felt. Friday, dinner. Say yes. Her brain clearly screamed, no. Her mouth said, I, I need to think about it. Think fast. I let myself smile, the kind that usually got me what I wanted in negotiations. Yes or no, Victoria? I can't, no. Then it's yes, I decided for her, hand coming up to rest on the wall beside her head. Not caging her in, but close enough to make the air crackle between us. My assistant will contact you tomorrow with details. Before she could protest, I lifted her hand and kissed her knuckles. Slowly, deliberately, eyes never leaving hers. Then I slid into my car and left her standing there, looking thoroughly shell-shocked. Through the rear window, I saw her touch the spot I'd kissed, mouth slightly open in surprise. I pulled out my phone. Elliot, I need a complete background check. Female, approximately 30, designer, possibly employed at Grant Technologies. She attended La Bernardin tonight under the reservation name Victoria Ashford. Also check Craigslist ads from this week. Keywords: acting, date, payment. Sir, should I be concerned about something? No, Elliot, I'm handling this personally. Just get me the information by morning. I hung up and smiled to myself. Whoever this woman was, she'd just become the most interesting problem I'd had in years. And Marcus Grant never walked away from an interesting problem. Jordan's apartment. Brooklyn, Saturday, 7 a.m. My phone rang at an hour that should be illegal. What the hell did you do? Victoria's voice could shatter bulletproof glass. I sat up so fast my head spun. I did exactly what you asked. I wore the awful clothes, talked about marriage and money, asked about his ex-girlfriends. I was clingy and annoying. Not annoying enough. He called me at midnight asking about my favorite books and whether I prefer mountains or beaches for vacation. You were supposed to make him run, not fall over himself requesting a second date. My stomach dropped. Yeah, I know. I was there when he asked. I tried to say no. You're continuing. Her voice went ice cold, each word a blade. Friday, make it worse. Be unbearable. Cry about your feelings. Talk about baby names. Whatever it takes. Or what? We had a deal. One date. Pay me the rest. Or, she laughed, sharp and cruel, I tell HR that Jordan Hayes, senior designer, employee ID 4782, participated in fraud against the CEO. I have recordings of our cafe meeting. I have the signed contract, and my father owns 12% of this company. My blood turned to ice water. You'll be fired before lunch, blacklisted from every design firm in New York, and you'll still owe me $75,000 for breaching the NDA. Think you can afford that on unemployment? You're blackmailing me. I'm motivating you. 10,000 more, total 15. Keep going until he gives up on his own. And Jordan? Her voice dropped to a purr. Make him hate you, or I'll make sure you never work in this industry again. The line went dead. I sat there, phone in hand, feeling the walls close in. Chloe emerged from my couch where she'd crashed after helping me debrief last night. What happened? Victoria knows where I work. She's threatening to expose me to HR, sue me for $75,000, and blacklist me from every design job in the city. That's illegal. She's the daughter of a major shareholder with unlimited resources and expensive lawyers. She can do exactly what she's threatening. I dropped my head to my hands. I'm completely screwed. So what do you do? I looked at my broken tablet, at the medical bill from Ohio still sitting on my counter, at the contract I'd signed without reading carefully enough. I go on another date, and I pray Marcus Grant gets bored fast. But even as I said it, I knew it was a lie. because part of me, a part growing larger every minute, didn't want him to get bored at all. The report from my investigator sat on my desk, delivered while the city still slept. I leaned back in my chair, watching dawn break over Manhattan. So Victoria hired my own employee to sabotage our date. Clever, ruthless, and entirely predictable once I thought about it. Victoria didn't want to marry me. Her father, Robert, wanted a business alliance. Merge his investment portfolio with my technology empire. She was caught between filial duty and personal desire. The elegant solution? Make me reject her first. Hire someone to play her so badly that I'd walk away, leaving her blameless in her father's eyes. What Victoria didn't anticipate was that I'd see through it immediately, and that I'd find her unwitting accomplice far more interesting than the game itself. My phone rang. Elliot. Sir, Victoria Ashford is in the lobby. She's requesting an immediate meeting. Says it's urgent. I smiled. Send her up. Victoria walked in 10 minutes later, pink Chanel suit, trying to project confidence but unable to hide the tension in her shoulders. Marcus, I need to apologize about Friday. That wasn't me. It was a terrible prank from a friend. And I'll explain everything. Don't. I stood up from my desk. I know exactly what it was, Victoria. You hired someone to sabotage our date because you don't want to marry me, but you can't say no to your father. Her face went pale. I'm not angry. I walked around the desk, keeping my voice measured. Actually, I'm impressed. Problem solving under pressure. Initiative. Qualities I value in business partners. You're not mad? No, because I don't want to marry you either. I gave her my boardroom smile, the one that closed deals. But your father owns 12% of my company. I need him satisfied. So here's my proposal. You and I pretend to date. 3 months. Public appearances, social media posts, the works. Then we have a mutual, amicable breakup citing career priorities. Robert saves face. I keep my investor happy. Win-win. Victoria blinked, processing. That's actually brilliant. I know. I returned to my desk, the negotiation complete in my mind. My assistant will coordinate our public appearances. Dinner once a week, one charity event per month. We'll make it look authentic. And what about, she hesitated, the woman I hired? Jordan Hayes. I said her name deliberately, watching Victoria's reaction. Leave her alone. Victoria's eyes narrowed. Why? Because, I looked directly at her, she's mine to handle. You involved her without fully informed consent. That ends now. Understood? Victoria studied me for a long moment, then smiled slowly. You like her, the designer. I'm intrigued by her. There's a difference. I opened my laptop, signaling the meeting was ending. Now, do we have an agreement about our arrangement? She extended her hand. 3 months, fake relationship, then amicable breakup. I shook it. Perfect. After she left, I sat back down and pulled up Jordan's employee file again. Beautiful in her ID photo. Talented designer, desperate enough to take a sketchy job, and completely unaware that I was about to turn this entire situation to my advantage. Because Marcus Grant didn't just play the game, he rewrote the rules. AMC Lincoln Square Theater, Friday evening, 1 week later, 7:30 p.m. I dressed normally this time. Dark jeans, blue sweater that Chloe had helped me pick out, hair down and actually styled with some effort. Minimal makeup that took me half an hour to get right. Victoria's new instructions had been clear. Be yourself but annoying. Talk about marriage constantly. Ask invasive questions about his family wealth. Drop hints about expensive tastes. Make him regret asking you out. Marcus was waiting in the lobby, and my breath caught despite every intention to stay professional and detached. Dark jeans, navy button-down shirt with sleeves rolled to his forearms, revealing an expensive watch and surprisingly muscular arms. Hair slightly less styled than last week. He looked younger, more relaxed, more dangerous to my increasingly confused heart. Jordan, he smiled, genuine, warm, nothing like the polite CEO mask from the restaurant. You look beautiful. Wait, how did you know my real... Lucky guess. He extended his hand. Shall we? In his car, a sleek black Mercedes that probably cost more than I'd earn in 5 years. He took my hand naturally, threading our fingers together like we'd done this 100 times before. The gesture was so casual, so intimate, that I forgot to breathe for a moment. Nervous? He asked, eyes on the road. A little, because last week I wasn't myself. I noticed. He glanced at me, those gray eyes seeing too much. But I think I prefer the real you. My traitorous heart did something complicated in my chest. At the theater, he led us to the back row. Strategic positioning, private but not isolated. The armrest between our seats was already up. You planned this, I whispered. I plan everything. He leaned closer, voice dropping to something intimate. Except you. You, Jordan Hayes. I never saw coming. The movie started. Some romantic comedy with a predictable plot about mismatched people finding love against all odds. The irony wasn't lost on me. But I wasn't really watching, because Marcus was watching me. You're missing the movie, I whispered. No, I'm not. His voice was low, private. Much better view right here. When the grandmother's funeral scene hit, the emotional climax I'd read about in reviews, I started crying. Real tears streaming down my face. No performance. Just genuine emotion hitting me harder than expected. Hey, Marcus murmured, pulling out a cloth handkerchief from his pocket. I came prepared. I stared at the pristine white fabric. You brought a handkerchief to a movie? I researched the plot, saw it had emotional scenes, figured you might need it. He shrugged, almost embarrassed. Paper tissues seemed less personal. Something cracked open in my chest. Marcus Grant, are you secretly a romantic? He took my hand in the darkness, thumbs stroking my knuckles in a way that sent electricity up my arm. Only with you. I used his handkerchief, acutely aware that this was possibly the most intimate thing I'd ever done. Crying into someone's personal item while they held my hand and didn't judge me for my emotions. He kept holding my hand through the rest of the movie, even when it got sweaty, even when I probably should have pulled away. I didn't want to. After the movie, we got ice cream from a small shop that looked family-owned and perfect. CEO at 30, I said, licking my spoon. That's impressive. Most people spend their 20s figuring out what they want to do. I started the company at 26, he corrected. Took 4 years of 16-hour days to really get it stable and profitable. Any regrets? Starting so young and sacrificing so much? Sometimes. His honesty surprised me. I missed normal things, dating without agendas, spontaneity, the ability to trust people's motives. Trust? When you build something valuable, everyone wants a piece, for themselves, for leverage, for status. He looked at me directly. Hard to know who sees you versus what you can provide them. Understanding washed over me like cold water. That sounds incredibly lonely. Was, he corrected quietly. Past tense. I swallowed hard, guilt rising. Marcus, there's something I need to tell you. His phone rang. Loud. Corporate ringtone that shattered the moment like breaking glass. Damn it. He checked the screen, frustration clear on his face. Security breach. Server attack on our client database. I have to authorize the emergency response protocol immediately. It's okay. Work emergencies happen. No, it's not okay. He stood, clearly conflicted. I was going to... He stopped himself, jaw tight. Rain check? Rain check. I nodded, trying to hide my disappointment. He kissed my forehead, soft, lingering, a promise of more to come. Good night, Jordan. My real name. He'd used my real name. He knew everything. Grant Technologies. Design department meeting, Monday, 9 a.m., 6 days later. Dave stood at the front of the conference room, looking unusually nervous. Announcement from the executive floor. Marcus Grant will personally review all Q4 projects this Thursday morning. Conference Room B, 10 a.m. sharp. Everyone needs to have their best work ready for presentation. My stomach dropped like an elevator with cut cables. Marcus, here, floor 18, in 3 days. I'd been avoiding him all weekend, sending polite but distant texts, declining his invitations. I needed time to think, to figure out how to tell him the truth without losing everything. My job, my career, possibly my freedom if Victoria made good on her lawsuit threats. My phone buzzed under the table. Victoria. Text. Saw you at his building Friday. Getting comfortable? Reminder, final date this week. Make it count, or I expose everything. Photos loaded slowly, each one making my heart sink further. Me and Marcus, the forehead kiss outside the theater, holding hands in his car, angles that could only come from security cameras in nearby buildings. She'd been watching me, surveilling me. Chloe, sitting next to me, leaned over and saw my screen. Oh shit, Jordan. She's been following me, I whispered, deleting the photos with shaking hands. Taking pictures, building evidence. That's illegal stalking. She's the daughter of a 12% shareholder with unlimited resources and no ethics. I stood up, grabbing my bag. I need to tell Marcus the truth, everything, before Thursday when he walks into this building. And if he's furious, if he fires you on the spot, then I lose everything anyway. I headed for the door. At least I'll lose it honestly instead of drowning in lies. Marcus's office, Tuesday evening, 6 p.m. Jordan POV. I stood outside Grant Technologies' main tower, looking up at the 52nd floor where lights still burned against the darkening sky. He was still working. Of course he was. Jordan Hayes for Mr. Grant, I told security, voice steadier than I felt. I don't have an appointment, but Miss Hayes, Elliot's voice came through the intercom before the guard could respond. Mr. Grant is expecting you. Private elevator on the right. Expecting me? How did he know I was coming? The elevator ride felt like ascending to my own execution. Each floor was a heartbeat. Each second was a chance to turn back and run. I didn't run. The doors opened to a sleek reception area. Elliot, 50-something, sharp suit, surprisingly kind eyes, gestured toward massive double doors. Straight ahead, he said to walk right in without knocking. The office was all glass and steel and Manhattan power. Walnut desk the size of a conference table. Floor-to-ceiling windows with a view that made the city look like a toy model. And Marcus, standing by those windows with his back to me, hands in pockets, silhouette against the glittering lights. Close the door, Jordan. I did. My heart hammered so hard I thought he could hear it across the room. He turned slowly. No more date night Marcus. This was CEO Marcus. Jaw set, eyes sharp as surgical steel. Every inch the billionaire who'd built an empire through force of will. I was wondering when you'd come clean. You knew, from the very beginning. From the moment you sat down at Le Bernardin in that costume. He walked toward me, slow, deliberate, predatory in a way that made my pulse race. I had you investigated that night. Jordan Hayes, 34, senior product designer, 4 years with my company, excellent performance reviews, financial difficulties, mother with ongoing medical expenses in Ohio. Heat flooded my face. Then why didn't I confront you? He stopped a meter away, close enough that I could smell his cologne. Because I wanted to see who you really are. Not the performance Victoria paid for. Not the desperate woman who took $5,000. The real Jordan Hayes underneath all of that. And, my voice cracked, did you find her? She stood there in jeans and a simple blouse, hair pulled back in a ponytail, looking braver than any executive I'd ever faced down in a hostile negotiation. Yes, I reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away, and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. I found someone who cries at romantic comedies, who talks about food like it's poetry, who's brilliant at her job but doesn't brag about it, who took a questionable gig because she was desperate to help her mother, not because she's greedy or malicious. Tears welled in her eyes. Marcus, I'm so sorry. I should have told you the truth immediately. I tried so many times, but Victoria blackmailed you. Not a question, a statement of fact. She nodded, tears spilling over. She has the NDA I signed without reading carefully, recordings of our cafe meeting. She threatened to tell HR, sue me for $75,000, blacklist me from every design firm in New York. Her father owns 12% of the company. She could make it all happen. I know. I pulled out my phone, showed her an email from Victoria dated last Friday. Stay away from Jordan Hayes, or I'll destroy her career and make her life a legal nightmare. Her eyes went wide with shock. You protected me? I told Victoria that if she touched you, I'd personally ensure her father lost every penny invested in Grant Technologies. I set the phone down on my desk. She backed off, temporarily. Jordan stared at me like I just revealed I could fly. Why? Why would you protect someone who lied to you? Because everything you did on that first date was performance. But when you tasted that tiramisu, that was real. When you talked about food with genuine passion, real. When you cried at the movie, real. I cupped her face, thumbs brushing her cheekbones, feeling her tremble slightly. I fell for the real you, Jordan. Not the act, not the desperation, not the mistakes. You. Her breath caught audibly. I fell for you too. God, I tried so hard not to. I told myself it was just guilt, confusion, the lies piling up. But Marcus, I kissed her. Finally. Properly. Not the gentle forehead kiss. Not restrained by public setting or uncertainty. This was months of wanting compressed into a single moment. Of watching her drop the mask piece by piece. Of falling for someone I knew was lying and not caring because the truth underneath was so much better than any fiction. She gasped against my mouth and I lifted her onto my desk, stepping between her legs, one hand sliding into her hair while the other gripped her waist, deepening the kiss until we were both breathing hard. When we broke apart, foreheads pressed together, I said quietly, I'm transferring you, effective immediately. You'll report to Reagan Morrison, our CMO. No conflict of interest, no ethical concerns, no appearance of impropriety. When did you? Yesterday. Paperwork's filed. HR approved this morning. Your new position starts Monday. I traced her jaw with my thumb. I don't do anything halfway, Jordan. She laughed, breathless, disbelieving, beautiful. You plan everything. Everything except how much I'd fall for you. I kissed her again, softer this time. Jordan Hayes, will you have dinner with me? Real dinner. No lies, no fake names, no scripts. Just us? Yes. No hesitation, no doubt. God, yes. I pulled her close, breathing in the scent of her cheap shampoo and thinking I'd never smelled anything better. Outside the windows, New York City glittered like scattered diamonds, but all I saw was her. Grant Technologies board meeting. Wednesday morning, 1 week later, 10 a.m. Quarterly meeting with the full board. 12 directors seated around the long, mahogany table. Robert Ashford positioned prominently at the far end, as befitted our second largest shareholder. The CFO was midway through Q3 revenue projections when the door slammed open with enough force to rattle the glass. Victoria stormed in like an avenging angel, hair perfect, white suit impeccable, eyes blazing with fury that immediately set off alarm bells in my head. Sorry to interrupt. She didn't sound sorry at all. But the board needs to know something about our CEO. Robert stood abruptly. Victoria, what the hell are you? Dad, Marcus is having an affair with an employee, Jordan Hayes, a designer. He transferred her to hide the conflict of interest, but I have proof they were involved romantically before the transfer was finalized. Murmurs erupted around the table like wildfire. I stayed seated, calm, controlled. Victoria, this is highly inappropriate. Is it? She slammed a folder on the table hard enough to make the water glasses jump. Here, emails between Marcus and Jordan, dating back 6 months, before the transfer. Explicit romantic content. Clear policy violations that could expose this company to lawsuits. Robert opened the folder, his face darkening as he scanned the pages. I leaned forward calmly to look at the supposed evidence and immediately recognized what I was seeing. Forgeries. The timestamps were doctored. I could see the font inconsistencies. The language wasn't how I wrote emails. And the photos, supposedly of Jordan and me from months ago, had visible pixel artifacts around the edges where they'd been manipulated. Amateur Photoshop work, sloppy and desperate. These are fabricated, I stated calmly, my voice cutting through the rising murmurs. Poorly done forgeries. Victoria smiled like she'd won the lottery. Prove it. Gladly, I turned to Kevin, our IT director. Pull the server logs immediately. Complete email metadata analysis. Full forensic examination. I want results in 1 hour. Kevin nodded nervously and practically ran from the room. Robert looked between us, confusion and anger warring on his face. Marcus, if these are real... They're not, Robert. I met his eyes steadily. Your daughter hired someone to sabotage my personal life 3 weeks ago. When that failed, she's now resorting to fabricated evidence. This is defamation and potentially criminal fraud. That's a serious accusation, Robert said slowly, his investor's mind already calculating probabilities. With serious proof. I opened my laptop, connected to the projector, and filled the screen with evidence I'd been compiling for over a week. Robert's expression shifted from confusion to shock to white-hot fury as each piece of evidence appeared. Victoria. His voice could freeze lava. My office. Now. Dad, I can explain. This isn't what it looks like. Now. They left, Victoria practically being dragged by her father's iron grip on her arm. The board sat in stunned silence, broken only by someone's nervous cough. I closed my laptop with deliberate calm. Meeting adjourned. Kevin will deliver the forensic report within 2 hours, confirming those emails are fabricated. If anyone has concerns about my relationship with Ms. Hayes, she no longer reports to me as of last Monday. The transfer was proper, approved by both HR and legal counsel. The relationship is personal and private. Any other questions? Silence greeted me. Good. We'll reconvene Friday for the Q4 strategy session as originally scheduled. I walked out, leaving them to process what had just happened. Elliot was waiting outside holding my phone. Sir, you have 17 missed calls, 10 from reporters, 5 from board members, 2 from... Hold all calls except Jordan. I took the phone. And get me Troy Castellano on a secure line. We're going to need his investigative services. Because Victoria had just made this war, and I intended to win decisively. Marcus's penthouse, Wednesday evening, 8 p.m. Marcus's apartment was everything I'd imagined and nothing I'd expected. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park, minimalist furniture that probably cost more than my annual salary, art that belonged in museums. But the details that caught my attention told a different story. A Marine's refrigerator magnet holding up takeout menus. A framed photo of younger Marcus with an older couple who had to be his parents. A stack of thriller novels on the coffee table, spines well-worn from repeated reading. Human touches in a billionaire's fortress. Wine? Marcus offered, already pouring from a bottle that probably cost more than my rent. Please, I think I need it after today. He handed me a glass, fingers brushing mine in that way that always sent electricity through me. IT confirmed the emails were completely fabricated, he said, settling beside me on the leather couch. created using basic Photoshop and email spoofing software. Amateur work that fell apart under any real scrutiny. Victoria panicked and got sloppy. What did her father say? Marcus's jaw tightened visibly. Robert is disappointed but loyal. Family first, as he put it. He demanded I reconsider our relationship to avoid further scandal and protect the company's reputation. My stomach dropped. And what did you say? I told him no. Simple. Absolute. Final. I told him my personal life isn't board business. If he has an issue with how I run this company, he can divest his shares. I'll buy them myself if necessary. Marcus, you can't. That's 12% of your company. That's hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't care about the money. He set his wine down and pulled me close. Jordan, I can rebuild the investor base if I need to. What I can't rebuild is this, is us. Tears stung my eyes. You'd risk your company for me? I'd risk money and investors. The company itself stays intact, just with different financial backers. But you? His thumb brushed across my lips gently. You're irreplaceable. I kissed him hard, desperate, grateful, overwhelmed by everything he was willing to sacrifice. When we broke apart, both breathing hard, he pulled me against his chest. We need a strategy, he said, shifting into tactical mode. Victoria won't stop. She's cornered and humiliated now. Dangerous combination. She'll escalate further. I nodded against his shoulder. What can she do? Robert knows the truth now. But Victoria has connections outside the company. Society reporters, gossip columnists. She could leak a twisted version of this story. CEO seduces and manipulates employee and control the public narrative before we can respond. So what do? Marcus smiled, sharp and strategic. We investigate her. Find out why she's so desperate to avoid marrying me that she'd risk criminal charges. Robert wanting a business alliance makes sense. But Victoria's reaction is extreme. There's something deeper we're missing. I sat up, designer brain engaging with the puzzle. Someone else? She's in love with someone Robert wouldn't approve of? Possible. Very possible. Marcus pulled up his laptop. Or she has secrets Robert can't discover. Financial impropriety? Personal scandal? Something worth protecting at all costs. How do we find out? He grinned. You're a designer who finds patterns in chaos. I'm a CEO who built a company by seeing what others miss. We do what we do best. Investigate, analyze, expose the truth. Montage. Investigation scenes over the next 5 days. I pulled up Victoria's Instagram on my laptop, scrolling back through months of posts. Look at her posting pattern. She tags locations constantly. Restaurants, galleries, gyms, shopping. But Tuesdays? Complete radio silence. Every single Tuesday for the past 18 months, not a single post or story. Marcus leaned over my shoulder, studying the screen. Standing appointment she can't document? Or meeting someone she absolutely cannot be public about? Marcus made a call while I pretended not to eavesdrop over my latte. Troy, Marcus Grant, I need a favor. Yes, I know what I'm asking. Tail someone on Tuesdays. Completely discreet. No contact, just observation and documentation. Standard rate plus 50% for the sensitivity. Thanks. He hung up and caught me staring. Troy Castellano, served with me in the Marines, now runs the best private investigation firm on the East Coast. You just have a private investigator on speed dial? I have resources built over 22 years of business, he smiled. That's what happens when you make it a point to help people. They help you back when you need it. Laptops spread across my dining table, files everywhere, coffee cups forming a small city of caffeine addiction. I scrolled through archived social media posts. Wait, look at this photo from a charity gala in 2019. I zoomed in on the image. Victoria stood next to a man in his early 40s. Handsome, expensive suit. His hand rested on her lower back in a way that screamed intimacy, not casual acquaintance. Marcus leaned closer, eyes narrowing. That's David Park, CEO of Ashford Industries' biggest competitor. Robert and David have been locked in a corporate war for over 20 years. Robert despises him, blamed Park for a failed merger that cost Ashford millions. Think they're dating? If Robert found out his daughter was romantically involved with his sworn enemy, Marcus whistled low. He'd disown her completely, cut her inheritance, destroy any business ventures she's involved in. Everything. I sat back, puzzle pieces clicking into place. So Victoria wasn't avoiding marriage to you specifically. She was protecting her real relationship from her father's discovery and used you as collateral damage in her scheme. Anger flashed in Marcus's eyes, protective and fierce. Troy called with results, his voice crackling through the speakerphone. Got comprehensive documentation. Victoria meets David Park every Tuesday without fail. His apartment in Chelsea. I have photos of them together on his balcony, definitely romantic involvement. Timelines suggest they've been seeing each other for at least 2 years, maybe longer. Marcus thanked him and disconnected, looked at me with triumph in his eyes. We have leverage. I hesitated, moral compass engaging. Marcus, using this feels wrong. She's awful to both of us, but outing her relationship? That feels cruel. He pulled me close, respecting my conscience even as he strategized. Not outing, negotiating. We give her a clear choice. Leave us alone completely, and we keep her secret safe. Continue attacking? We show Robert everything, every photo, every Tuesday, every lie she's told him. Her choice determines her consequences. That's actually fair. Harsh, but fair. I'm not a villain, Jordan. I'm just done being attacked by someone who created this entire mess. His expression hardened. Victoria had every opportunity to walk away. She chose escalation at every turn. Now she faces reality. Monday morning, Marcus's office, 9:15 a.m. My phone rang exactly when I expected it to. Robert Ashford. I put it on speaker so Jordan, seated across from my desk, could hear everything. Robert, Marcus, we need to talk about the situation with Victoria and this designer. I'm listening. His voice was measured, controlled, his negotiator's tone. The board met privately over the weekend. Without you, as is their right under company bylaws, they're concerned, very concerned. CEO dating an employee, even a properly transferred one, sends the wrong message about company culture and ethics. They want you to end the relationship publicly, make a statement, or, he paused for effect, they'll call a vote of no confidence. No confidence meant removal as CEO of my own company. The nuclear option. Jordan's hand gripped mine across the desk, her face pale. I'll consider their concerns carefully, I said calmly, not giving him the satisfaction of a reaction. But Robert, before the board takes any official action, they should know about Victoria's activities, specifically her Tuesday appointments with David Park. Every week for the past 2 years. Silence, long and heavy as a held breath. What did you say? Check your email. Photos with timestamps, addresses, documentation of every meeting. Your daughter has been romantically involved with your biggest enemy while telling you she's loyal to family interests in business priorities. Sound of rapid typing. A sharp, pained inhale. If this becomes public knowledge, it won't. From me. I kept my voice level, professional. But Robert, I need you to call off Victoria immediately. No more attacks on Jordan. No more board manipulation. No more fabricated evidence or surveillance or threats. You want to keep your daughter's secret? Leave us alone. You're blackmailing me. His voice was tight with barely controlled fury. I'm negotiating, like you taught me at our very first meeting. Business is leverage, you said. Find what someone values and use it. I learned from the best, Robert. Another long pause filled only by his heavy breathing. Fine. Victoria will stand down completely. The board vote is canceled. But Marcus? His voice went cold. This doesn't make us friends. Don't expect any favors in the future. Never expected friendship, just professional courtesy and mutual respect. That's all I'm asking. He hung up without another word. Jordan stared at me with wide eyes. Did you just checkmate a billionaire investor using his own daughter? I pulled her into my lap, relief flooding through me. I checkmated his daughter first when I figured out her secret. He was just cleanup and damage control. She laughed and kissed me. You're terrifying when you're strategic. Only to people who threaten what's mine. I kissed her back, slower, deeper. And you, Jordan Hayes, are very much mine. She smiled against my lips. Possessive much? Protective. There's a difference. I'll allow it. She kissed me again. Because I'm yours. Completely. Outside the windows, Manhattan hummed with morning traffic and a million lives intersecting. But in that moment, we were the only two people who mattered. Grant Technologies. Monday morning, 2 weeks later, 9 a.m. Email from the board secretary, marked urgent and confidential. Subject, emergency meeting, mandatory attendance, confidential matter. I walked into the boardroom expecting routine crisis management. Instead, I found the full board assembled. Robert Ashford present despite our recent tension, his face carefully neutral. And sitting in the guest chair like he owned it, Jonathan Richardson, wearing a smile that made my instincts scream, danger. What the hell is this? I demanded. Michael Torres, our board chairman, gestured for me to sit. Marcus, Mr. Richardson has brought information to our attention. Serious information that requires board discussion. Richardson stood smoothly, enjoying his moment. Gentlemen, over the past 3 months, I've quietly acquired 8% of Grant Technology stock through various investment vehicles. Just shy of the 15% threshold requiring automatic board representation. But combined with sympathetic shareholders, he glanced meaningfully at Robert. I have effective control of 27% of this company. My blood went cold. This was a coordinated attack. I'm proposing an emergency board vote to replace Marcus Grant as CEO. Install myself as interim chief executive. Reasoning? He smiled like a shark. Compromised judgment. Dating employees and creating legal liability. Blackmailing shareholders, a nod toward Robert. Using personal information for corporate leverage. General instability unsuited for leadership of a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. This is an illegal coup attempt, I stated flatly, keeping my voice level despite the fury building, and likely securities fraud. Is it? Richardson pulled out a thick document folder. Here's evidence of your inappropriate relationship timeline with Ms. Hayes. Transfer records that could suggest favoritism. And, his smile widened triumphantly, a recording of you threatening Robert Ashford with exposure of his daughter's private relationship unless he complied with your demands. Textbook blackmail and extortion. Clear grounds for immediate removal. My jaw clenched. That recording was from a private phone call. How did you obtain it? Richardson shrugged carelessly. Source is confidential and protected. Victoria. Understanding hit me like ice water. After I neutralized her, she went directly to my biggest competitor, gave him everything. Smart woman with excellent business instincts, Richardson agreed. Now then, the board votes in 48 hours, Wednesday morning. I suggest you prepare your exit strategy, Marcus. Maybe spend that time with your girlfriend before you're both unemployed. I stood slowly, letting the silence stretch. The board votes in 48 hours. I suggest you prepare for war, Jonathan, because you just made this deeply personal, and I don't lose personal battles. I walked out, leaving the boardroom in tense silence. Marcus called me from his car, voice tight with controlled fury that I could hear despite his attempts to stay calm. Jordan, emergency situation. Richardson is making a hostile move against me. He has Victoria's recording, the one of me threatening Robert. He's pushing the board to vote me out as CEO within 48 hours. Oh God, Marcus, what do we do? I need proof that Richardson orchestrated this illegally. Insider trading, stock manipulation, conspiracy, something concrete that I can take to the SEC and the board. But I need evidence fast. We have less than 2 days. I thought quickly, designer brain shifting into problem-solving mode. Marcus, what if I help with the investigation? You? How? I'm a designer. I'm also very good at research and finding patterns that others miss. Let me dig into Richardson's company filings, SEC documents, public records. Fresh eyes might catch what your lawyers missed because they're looking at it from a legal framework instead of a design pattern framework. Silence on the line as he considered. Jordan, this could be genuinely dangerous. If Richardson discovers you're helping me, he could retaliate against you personally. Destroy your career before it really starts. Then he discovers it and retaliates. Marcus, you protected me from Victoria without hesitation. Let me protect you from Richardson. We're a team now, remember? Another pause, longer this time. Then, okay, but we work together on this. You don't go rogue or put yourself at risk. Promise me. Promise. My place tonight. Bring your laptop and that brilliant pattern recognition brain of yours. And Jordan? Yeah? I love you. The words hit me like sunlight breaking through clouds. First time he'd said it so directly. My heart swelled. I love you too. We'll figure this out together. Marcus's penthouse. Tuesday night, 11:47 p.m. We'd been searching for nearly 7 hours straight. Pizza boxes stacked on the counter alongside Chinese takeout containers. Coffee cups everywhere like archaeological evidence of our desperation. Laptops glowing in the dimmed lights. Nothing, Marcus said, frustration bleeding through his usually controlled exterior. Richardson's official records are completely clean. Too clean, actually. No businessman is this careful unless he's hiding something. Wait, I zoomed in on a complex SEC filing I'd been cross-referencing. Look at this document. 6 months ago, Rich Tech acquired a small shell company called Apex Holdings. Listed purpose, consulting and advisory services. But look at the registered business address. Marcus leaned over my shoulder, scanning the screen. Same building as Victoria's penthouse. That's not a business address, that's residential. Could be coincidence. Maybe, but watch this. I pulled up another document, fingers flying across the keyboard. Apex Holdings made a payment 3 weeks ago to another shell company called Sterling Consultants for $50,000, listed as advisory fees. But look at when that payment was made. Marcus's eyes widened as understanding dawned. 3 days before Victoria posted that Craigslist ad hiring you. Exactly. And Sterling? That's Victoria's middle name. Victoria Sterling Ashford. Son of a bitch. Marcus slammed his laptop shut, fury and triumph mixing on his face. Richardson didn't just capitalize on Victoria's scheme. He orchestrated it from the beginning, paid her to hire you, create the scandal, then used it as ammunition for his takeover attempt. But we have proof. I was getting excited now, adrenaline overriding exhaustion. These SEC filings show direct financial coordination between Richardson and Victoria. Conspiracy to manipulate stock prices through manufactured scandal. That's securities fraud, maybe even racketeering. Marcus grabbed my shoulders, eyes intense. Jordan, you're absolutely brilliant. But if we use this evidence against Richardson, he will retaliate viciously. He'll investigate your entire background, your finances, your mother's medical history. He'll try to discredit you as a witness by any means necessary, legal or otherwise. I don't care what he does. I do. His hands cupped my face gently. I won't let you sacrifice yourself for my company, no matter how much I need to win this fight. It's not sacrifice. I covered his hands with mine. It's choice. Marcus, you've given me everything. Protection, love, opportunities I never dreamed possible. Let me give you this. Let me fight for you the way you fought for me. He searched my eyes intently, looking for any trace of doubt or fear. He found only absolute determination. If you do this, he warned seriously, there's no going back. You'll be testifying against a billionaire with unlimited resources. The press will scrutinize every aspect of your life. They'll call you a gold digger, a manipulator, a liar, every ugly name imaginable. Your privacy will be completely destroyed. Let them call me whatever they want. My voice didn't waver. I know who I am. I know what we are, and I'm not afraid of the truth anymore. He pulled me close, forehead to forehead, breathing me in. Okay, we do this together. But Jordan, promise me something. If the attacks get too vicious, if they hurt you too badly, you tell me immediately. We find another strategy. Agreed? Agreed. Good. He kissed me softly, then with building intensity. Because I'm not losing you. Not to Richardson. Not to scandal. Not to anything in this world. We spent the rest of the night compiling ironclad evidence. Documents, timeline spreadsheets, a paper trail connecting Richardson to Victoria to me in an unbroken chain of conspiracy. By dawn, we had a prosecutable case and a battle plan. Grant Technologies, Emergency Board Meeting, Wednesday, 10 a.m. Marcus POV. I walked into that boardroom like I was walking onto a battlefield, because I was. Gentlemen, I connected my laptop to the projector without preamble. Before you vote on Mr. Richardson's proposal to remove me, you should understand something crucial. His takeover attempt isn't legitimate business strategy. It's criminal conspiracy and securities fraud. The screen filled with evidence as I walked them through it methodically. Shell companies, money transfers, Victoria's involvement, the timeline proving coordination and premeditation. Richardson paid Victoria Ashford $50,000 to hire Jordan Hayes and create a compromising situation with me. Then he used that manufactured scandal to justify my removal and position himself as interim CEO. This is stock manipulation through fabricated crisis, securities fraud, potentially racketeering under RICO statutes. Richardson stood abruptly, face flushed red. This is circumstantial nonsense. Is it? I played the audio recording. Victoria's voice, captured by Jordan with full consent and legal authorization after we'd pieced together the conspiracy. Richardson approached me first, weeks before the Craigslist ad, said if I helped him create a scandal involving Marcus, he'd invest $50 million in my real estate development project. I just had to make Marcus look unstable and compromised. Hire someone to document it, make it public at the right moment. The board erupted in shocked murmurs. Torres slammed his gavel hard. Mr. Richardson, you have 60 seconds to explain yourself before I call our attorneys. This is entrapment and illegal recording. No. I stayed completely calm, in control. This is evidence legally obtained with full consent of all involved parties, which I'm submitting to the SEC this afternoon, along with a formal criminal complaint. You wanted my company, Jonathan? Instead, you'll get a federal investigation that destroys everything you've built. Richardson grabbed his briefcase, clearly recognizing he'd lost. He headed for the door. One more thing, Jonathan. I waited until he turned back. I'm also notifying your board of directors about the stock manipulation, the shell companies, the conspiracy. I wonder how long they'll keep you as CEO once they understand the legal liability you've created for Rich Tech. His face went from red to purple, but he stormed out without another word. Torres turned to me, respect clear in his expression. Marcus, the board owes you an apology. The vote is canceled. You remain CEO with our complete confidence and, a rare smile, exceptionally well played. I nodded professionally, accepting the victory, but inside relief and triumph sang through my veins. We'd won. Grant Technologies, Press conference, Friday afternoon, 2 p.m. 50 reporters packed the main lobby, cameras everywhere, microphones like a forest. The story had leaked overnight. Tech CEOs romance sparks corporate warfare and federal investigation. I stood backstage, hands shaking despite my best efforts at calm. Chloe beside me for moral support, squeezing my hand. "You don't have to do this," Marcus said quietly, his hand warm on my lower back. "I can face them alone, take all the heat." "No." I straightened my shoulders, drawing strength from his presence. "We're in this together. We face it together." He kissed my forehead gently. "Okay, but I lead the statement. You follow my cues. If questions get invasive or cruel, I shut them down immediately. Understood?" "Understood." We walked out together into a storm of flashbulbs that made me blink. "Mr. Grant, is it true you dated an employee under false pretenses?" "Mr. Grant, did you manipulate Ms. Hayes into a relationship to damage a competitor?" "Ms. Hayes, were you aware your relationship violated company policy?" Marcus raised one hand. Silence fell instantly like a blade cutting through noise. Statement: Yes, I'm in a relationship with Jordan Hayes. Yes, she was formerly an employee. She was properly transferred to eliminate any conflict of interest before our relationship became romantic. No, there was no manipulation on either side. Our relationship developed naturally and appropriately. But the Craigslist ad in the conspiracy was orchestrated by third parties, Victoria Ashford and Jonathan Richardson, without Jordan's knowledge of the larger scheme. She was an unwitting victim, not a perpetrator. She's been fully cleared by HR, legal counsel, and our board of directors. This matter is closed. Some sources suggest Ms. Hayes was complicit. Some sources can speak to my attorneys. Marcus's voice could cut steel. Ms. Hayes is a talented designer who earned her position through merit and exceptional work. Our relationship is private. Anyone suggesting otherwise will face legal action for defamation. Now, questions about company performance or the Richardson investigation? The redirect worked. Questions shifted to Q4 earnings, the failed hostile takeover, Richardson's impending legal troubles. After 20 brutal minutes, we exited through a side door. I was shaking. Full body tremors from adrenaline crash. "You were incredible," Marcus murmured, pulling me close in the private hallway. "So brave and composed." "I feel like I'm going to throw up." Normal reaction. First press conference is always traumatic. He guided me to his private car. "Come on, let's get you home and away from all of this." My phone had exploded with notifications, social media mentions, thousands upon thousands at Design Gossip. Gold digger Jordan Hayes manipulated billionaire CEO into relationship, #Grant Scandal. At Tech News, employee CEO romance, ethics violation, or genuine love story, #Grant Tech. At NYC Society, sources claim Hayes orchestrated entire scandal for money and position. Lies built on half-truths, built on misunderstandings. But people believe them because they fit a familiar narrative. Chloe grabbed my phone away. "Stop reading right now, seriously. You're torturing yourself." They think I'm a prostitute, a gold digger, a master manipulator. "They don't know you," Marcus said firmly, gripping my shoulders. "Their uninformed opinions are completely worthless. Only truth matters, and the people who actually know you. But my career, my reputation, will survive and thrive." He turned me to face him directly. "Jordan, you're too talented to fail, too brilliant to be held back by gossip. We knew this would be hard, but we're not giving up. Say it." I nodded weakly. "Say it out loud. We're not giving up. We're not giving up." My voice was barely a whisper. Again, stronger, like you mean it. "We're not giving up." Louder, firmer. One more time. "We're not giving up." Strong, certain, true. "Good." He pulled me into his arms. Now let's go home, order terrible Chinese food, watch mindless action movies, let the world spin without us for one night. And that's exactly what we did. Charity Gala. Saturday evening, 1 week later, Plaza Hotel. I didn't want to attend, but Marcus's presence was contractually required. Grant Technologies was a platinum-level sponsor. "Stay close to me," he whispered as we entered the opulent ballroom. "If anyone's openly rude, we leave immediately. No arguments." The ballroom was everything I dreaded. Chandeliers dripping with crystal worth small fortunes. Designer gowns that cost more than cars. Old money everywhere, their eyes judging the girl who'd crashed into their carefully constructed world. I wore the midnight blue dress Marcus had chosen. Simple, elegant, perfect. He'd looked at me like I'd stolen his breath when I'd emerged from the bedroom. Now, walking through the crowd of Manhattan's elite, whispers followed us like a toxic wake. "That's her, the designer. I heard she trapped him deliberately. Scandal waiting to happen." Marcus's hand tightened protectively on my waist. Then Victoria appeared, materializing in front of us like a ghost from our shared past. She looked different, hair still immaculate, dress still worth a fortune, but her eyes were hollow, defeated in a way that made her almost unrecognizable. "Marcus, Jordan." Her voice was flat, emotionless. "Victoria," Marcus nodded curtly. "If you'll excuse us." "Wait, please." She raised a hand. "I owe you both an apology, a real one." I blinked in genuine shock. "What?" "I was desperate and cruel." She paused, seeming to gather courage. "Father wanted me to marry you, Marcus, build a business alliance that would benefit both families. But I'm in love with David Park, and Father would never approve. He despises David for old business reasons. So I panicked, hired Jordan to sabotage the date, hoping you'd back out and save me from an impossible situation. When that didn't work, I kept escalating, until I involved Richardson and destroyed everything worth protecting." Marcus stayed tense beside me. "Why are you telling us this now?" "Because Father found out anyway. About David, about Richardson, about all my lies and schemes." Tears welled in her eyes. Real tears, not performance. "He disowned me completely, cut me off financially. I have nothing left except the truth. And I realized you tried to help me, Marcus. You offered to negotiate, keep my secrets safe. But I was too proud and too stupid to accept your help." She looked directly at me. "Jordan, you didn't deserve any of what I did to you. You were just trying to survive and help your mother. I turned you into a weapon against an innocent person. I'm truly sorry." Part of me wanted to stay angry, but I mostly saw a broken woman who'd lost everything chasing the wrong solution to her problems. "I forgive you," I said quietly, surprising myself. "Not because you deserve it necessarily, but because holding on to anger hurts me more than you." Victoria nodded, tears spilling over. "Thank you. That's more grace than I earned." She turned to Marcus. "You'll make her happy. I can see that clearly now. Don't ruin it." "I won't." A simple promise, absolute in its certainty. Victoria walked away alone, disappearing into the crowd that would soon be whispering about her fall from grace instead of mine. Marcus pulled me close. "You okay?" "Yeah, actually, yeah, forgiving her feels lighter, like putting down something heavy I didn't realize I was carrying. You're a better person than most people I know. Just tired of fighting everyone, ready to move forward." Music started, a waltz that filled the ballroom with elegant sound. "Dance with me?" Marcus offered his hand with a slight smile. "I'm a terrible dancer. You've seen me trip over flat surfaces." "I know. Dance with me anyway." I laughed and took his hand. On the floor, he held me perfectly, led me smoothly through steps I didn't know, made me look graceful when I felt clumsy. "See," he murmured close to my ear, "you just needed the right partner." Cheesy line, Mr. Grant, but completely true, Miss Hayes. Then, mid-dance, he stopped, right in the center of the floor with everyone watching. "Marcus, what are you—" He dropped to one knee. The ballroom gasped collectively, hundreds of people freezing mid-conversation. My heart stopped completely. "Jordan Hayes." He pulled a ring box from his pocket with steady hands. "I wasn't planning this tonight. Had an elaborate plan. Montana at Christmas. My parents there as witnesses. Perfect romantic setting. But standing here with you, after everything we've survived together, I realized I don't want to wait another moment. You're brilliant, brave, kind in ways that humble me. You make me laugh when I take myself too seriously. You challenge me when I need it most. You see me, not the CEO, not the billionaire, not the company, just Marcus, the man who loves you beyond all reason and logic. I can't promise an easy life. There will be more press scrutiny, more scandals from people who want to tear us down, more Victorias and Richardsons trying to use us as weapons. But I can promise I will fight for you, protect you, love you fiercely, every single day for the rest of my life. Jordan Hayes, will you marry me?" The ring was perfect, platinum band, single diamond that caught the light like captured starlight. Simple, elegant, us. Tears streamed down my face, unbidden and unstoppable. Yes, barely a whisper through emotion. God, yes, always yes. He slid the ring onto my finger with hands that trembled slightly, the only sign of his nervousness. Stood and kissed me deeply, claiming me in front of everyone who'd ever doubted us. The ballroom erupted in applause and cheers, but I only heard Marcus whispering against my lips, "I love you. I love you too. So much it scares me sometimes. Good scared or bad scared? Best scared. The kind that means something real and worth protecting." He kissed me again, softer this time, and the world fell away. Le Bernardin restaurant, Friday evening, 8 p.m. Same restaurant, same corner table where everything had started. Completely different us. Marcus looked across at me, that slight smile I'd fallen in love with playing at his lips. "1 year ago tonight, you wore a costume that should have gotten you arrested by the fashion police. Knocked over my water glass within 30 seconds of sitting down." I laughed. No embarrassment left after a year of marriage. "Don't remind me. Most ridiculous night of my life. Best night of mine." His expression turned serious, tender. "Because I met the real you hiding under that terrible disguise, and everything changed. You knew from the very first moment. I suspected immediately, but I wanted to see who you'd become when you stopped performing for Victoria. When you were just you. And you became everything I didn't know I was missing." He reached across, took my hand where the engagement ring and wedding band gleamed together. "Mrs. Jordan Hayes Grant." Still sounds surreal sometimes. Still getting used to it myself. Though I like Hayes Grant better, keeping both names feels right. "I like it too. Shows you're your own person who chose to be with me, not someone who disappeared into my identity." The waiter approached with perfect timing. "Dessert this evening?" "Tiramisu," we said simultaneously, then laughed at the familiar ritual. When it arrived, still perfect after all this time, the same restaurant maintaining its standards, we each took a bite. "Still good?" Marcus asked, eyes twinkling. "Perfect," I smiled across at him. "Like us." "Not perfect," he corrected gently, reaching for my hand. "We argue about your experimental cooking disasters. I still work too many hours despite promising to cut back. You still can't navigate anywhere without GPS. But, but we're real. No lies, no games, no fake identities or hidden agendas. Just us. Complicated, messy, wonderful us, building something genuine together." I leaned across the table. "Marcus Grant, 1 year ago I accepted a questionable job for $5,000. Worst decision that became the best thing that ever happened to me. Worst how? Led to Victoria's blackmail, Richardson's attack, public scandal, death threats from internet strangers with too much time and too much anger and too little understanding. And best, led to you. I kissed him softly across the table. To this, to a life I never imagined I could have. To the Jordan Hayes Center for Social Design that's already helped over 10,000 people access healthcare technology. To work that actually matters and changes lives. To love that's real and tested and proven. He pulled a small velvet box from his pocket, different from the ring box, something new. Open it. Inside, a brass key on a simple silver chain. What's this? Key to the new Grant Foundation headquarters building. Named the Jordan Hayes Center for Social Design, exactly as I promised you. Your division, your budget, your vision to execute however you see fit. You've proven yourself 1,000 times over this past year. The Forbes recognition, the healthcare app that won 3 industry awards, the partnerships with hospitals in underserved communities. Now build your legacy the way I built mine. Change lives. Make the world measurably better. Tears welled in my eyes. Marcus, no more limits, Jordan. No more proving yourself to anyone. Not to me, not to the board, not to society. You're extraordinary, and the world deserves to benefit from that brilliance. So take the key. Build the future you've always envisioned. Help the people who need it most. I clutched the key like the precious gift it was, this symbol of everything we'd built together. Thank you. Not just for this building or the resources, for everything. For seeing me when I was invisible. For fighting for me when I couldn't fight for myself. For loving me when I was still learning to love myself and believe I deserve good things. Loving you has been the easiest thing I've ever done, he murmured, voice thick with emotion. Watching you grow into your full power and potential, that's been the greatest privilege of my life. Marcus POV. I watched Jordan examine the key, tears streaming down her beautiful face, and felt complete in a way I never had before building my company or achieving any business success. A year ago, a woman in a terrible disguise had walked into this restaurant planning to drive me away. Instead, she'd walked into my life and changed absolutely everything. My brother Nathaniel would have loved her, would have approved completely of the woman who made me laugh, who challenged my assumptions, who reminded me that business success meant nothing without human connection. We're just getting started, I said, squeezing her hand across the table. This is just the beginning of everything we're going to build together. The foundation, the family we'll create, the legacy that outlasts both of us. Promise? Promise. Outside the restaurant windows, Manhattan glittered with 1,000,000 lives and 1,000,000 lives intersecting in countless ways. But in that moment, in our corner table where everything had started with lies and become the truest thing in both our lives, we were the only 2 people who mattered. Marcus paid the check, leaving an absurdly generous tip for the staff who'd witnessed both our disastrous first date and this anniversary celebration. And we walked out into the cool November night hand in hand. Home? He asked. Home, I agreed. Home. A word that meant so much more than an address now. It meant the penthouse we decorated together, blending his minimalist aesthetic with my colorful touches. It meant the life we were building. It meant each other. As we drove through the city that had been the backdrop for our entire story, I reflected on everything that had brought us here. $5,000 had seemed like a fortune when I was desperate. Now I understood it had been the best investment anyone ever made. Not because of the money, but because it led me to Marcus. To love, to purpose, to becoming the person I was always meant to be. What are you thinking about? Marcus asked, glancing over at a red light. That I'd do it all over again. Every mistake, every lie, every moment of fear and uncertainty, because all of it led me here, to you, to us. He raised my hand to his lips, kissed my knuckles gently. Even the fake acne stickers? I laughed. Even those, though let's never speak of them again. Agreed. The light turned green. We drove toward home, toward the future, toward everything we'd continue building together. Behind us, Le Bernardin's lights glowed warm against the night sky, holding the memory of where we'd started. Ahead of us, Manhattan stretched out in infinite possibility. In between us, Marcus and Jordan, CEO and designer, two people who'd found each other through the most unlikely circumstances, existed something rare and precious and real. Love that had survived lies and emerged stronger. Trust that had been tested and proven unbreakable. A partnership built on equal respect, shared values, and the simple truth that we were better together than we'd ever been apart. "I love you," I said quietly as we pulled into the building's parking garage. "I love you too," Marcus replied, parking the car and turning to face me fully. "Every single day, every single moment, for the rest of our lives." We sat there for a long moment, just looking at each other, remembering everything and anticipating everything still to come. Then we went home, together.